Hi everyone, it's Raquel here, and today I'm creating a new layout with the December hip kits, and my theme is clever with numbers. So being a December kit and thinking about the new year, I've decided to create a New Year goals page, and I did this last year and I really enjoyed having that to look back on and keep me on track. So what I've done in terms of numbers is I've used B's file which had the numbers, but I've just cut the outline of the year. So I've got the 2, the 1, the 7, which I'm going to back, and then for the 0 I'm actually going to use my photo. So I'm cutting that circular. I've also cut out 2 of these gorgeous floral files of hers, which I wanted to create and layer a little bit with. And my thoughts are that I'll use the sketch as well, which has a title and a circular element, which I'll show you in a moment. I'll bring up on my phone and I'll show you, because I'm going to use that as a bit of a guide as well. Okay, so here's the photo that I'm documenting. It's just one of myself, and then my thought is I actually use this now on my profile pictures and things, and I've just cut out the O, but what I actually did was made it a little bit fatter so that I could have my photo there properly. So what I'm going to do is just trace and cut my photo out to have here. So it's going to overlap slightly on that 2 and that 7. I hope that you can see that. It's a bit hard. I might just pull out one of the cardstock pieces just so that you, or the pattern paper pieces, just so that you can see. So the 2 and the 7, and obviously you won't see the 0 properly just yet. And my thoughts were I'll sort of do a bit of this floral maybe here, and then one maybe at the top. And the reason is because the sketch that I thought, although this says title, I thought, well, I can use the numbers for that area. And then I've got my photo. I'll use some smaller embellishments like the floral pieces where there's the embellishments drawn. I'll still stitch a circle. I think that will tie the layout in nicely, and I'm not sure if I'll use strips of paper or what I'll do just yet along the bottom, or whether I'll have pattern at the top. I thought I might even simply just use the stencil from the colour kit to mimic that circle on the sketch. We'll see. So I'm going to speed you up and just go through and see what will work within. The colour looks a bit different. Work within, you know, the bits and pieces that I have, and then I'll go from there, I think. Okay, so I begin by tracing around that 0 shape onto my photo and just trimming around the edge with my scissors. And because when you hand cut a circular element, it does leave sometimes a bit of a jagged or harsh edge, and you can be trying to do it as neat and curved as possible. But I find using something like a sanding block, this one's just a Coordinations branded one, just helps to even out that edge, and also gives this nice sort of white core around the edge. So I did that, and then what I found was I flicked through my pattern papers and absolutely loved the effect of that multicolored stripe Take Me Away paper showing through that 217 design of my title. Then I decided to, little bit painstakingly, I guess, back my cut files, and it was just the 2 flowers, thankfully. And what I wanted to do was just back the floral head part as well as the leaves, and then there was some little type I suppose like berry little bits coming off that floral as well. So I traced around them with a pencil onto those different pieces of that pattern paper. And that paper, because there's so many designs, it's really great because you've got so many different choices of pattern and color that you can use on your layout. So I did the tracing and then cut out those pieces individually to be fitting behind that cut file, and adhered them down using my quick dry in the fine line bottle. Just makes doing those more intricate adhesive things so much easier. You could probably also use on the back of your die cut piece, say, a spray adhesive, and that would make it super quick as well. And obviously the adhesive would stick really well because you would be spraying the whole back of the die cut. But normally with those adhesives you do need to work quite quickly, and this sort of a thing sometimes you need, you know, to have a bit more time to work with. So I'm just backing those cut files and trimming around the excess as well if I'd cut them too big. What I normally do when I trace around them is I trace around the outer edge of the cut file, and I find that even when I cut a little bit inside of that line that I've traced, I still need to neaten them up and trim them up a little bit more once I'm done. So I backed those cut files, and now I'm just placing my photo down and seeing what I think of the cut file and how I'm feeling that it's looking. And then I start sifting through the ephemera and just seeing what might work on this page. At the start of each year, for the last few years, I've sort of created a 2017 goal page. So that was my aim for this layout. And I was just looking through those ephemera pieces, seeing what might work on a page about myself, I guess. This yellow in this pattern paper I absolutely adore, and I've actually used of both my sheets. So I've received the extra pattern paper and the paper in the main kit, and I've used the yellow from both. It's just such a really nice, bright, vibrant pop to your page, and I wanted that photo to stand out that little bit more. So I've traced around that negative piece of the 0 and added a little bit more of a border and cut that out, all ready to back my photo. Now I'm going to get this striped pattern cut and ready to place and adhere behind that die cut year, and I'm just adhering that down now. I really love the variety in colour and how I'm able to incorporate lots of colours, but it doesn't look, I think because of the way the pattern paper is, it doesn't look too harsh. It's still quite soft if you look at the layout, but bright at the same time. I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm probably not conveying it very well. And then I was wondering whether I needed to have some kind of pattern paper strip on the side, or I was thinking about the sketch in the back of my mind and how I was going to make that work. Now on the sketch there was sort of some strips of paper sort of below where the photo and the title was, but I felt like if I was going to do that, it was really blocking the layout and it would make it seem too heavy. So I decided to cut sort of a banner edge, that strip of paper with that white triangle design, and just place that under my photo, and I folded that in half to give a bit of extra dimension as well, and I've just loosely popped that all down and planned that all out at this point. And then I grabbed some more of the pattern paper scraps I had because I wanted to create some kind of layered detail at the top, and I've cut a couple of banner ends just to sort of create a bit of layered goodness at the top there. And I think I don't use all of the 3 pieces I cut in the end, but I've got them there for that moment. Then I decided I really love that bunting from the die cut pack. It incorporates all of the colours that I've used so far on the layout and from the Take Me Away collection. And I thought that I needed something to finish the page a little bit. I felt like it was lacking something, so I used my maths compass to draw a circle, and then I've stitched around it a couple of times on my sewing machine, and it just gives a nice sort of texture and detail to the page. The same with this whip spackle. I'm using the stencil from the kits and just my Faber-Castell whip spackle, which is just a light and fluffy texture paste. It's not very heavy and it dries super quick, and I love using it because it's a real white colour on your page, not cream or grey looking. So I've applied that just to a few sections on the page as well. And then I'm addicted to those little tassels from the Gather crepe paper collection, and what I did was I have placed them on some string and then wrapped them around that cute little bunting from the ephemera pack, and that will sort of create a nice little dangling feature off that cluster that I create to the bottom left of the photo. So I've started to adhere everything down at this stage, and I'd sort of planned, and you saw the overall look of the layout and what I was wanting to achieve, and now I'm just going through and adhering things down. So I'll always grab my foam adhesive, my regular tape, as well as something like my raised glue dots, just so that I can create varying depths of dimension. And I'm just going through and adhering all those bits using those different materials. So on the bunting, I've decided to use the foam tape. Underneath my photo, I've adhered that with a foam sheet. And then as I go through and adhere down all the other bits and pieces, you'll see on that flower I use my foam tape, but then partially on part of that flower I've used a raised glue dot, and it just gives the embellishments sort of a multi-dimensional look to them. So part of them is adhered flat to the page and the other parts are adhered with a little bit of dimension. And when you look at my layouts maybe on camera, you can't tell, but once you see them in real life, you can see that they do have that detail and dimension to them. I'm finishing the page with some smaller embellishments like the acrylic stars and some other ephemera bits and pieces, and that pretty much leaves us here and all done. So I'll leave you with a close-up, and I'll be sharing more layouts soon.